Hello, welcome to Actual Play, Scum and Villainy, Persephone. We are back to do mad hijinks in the Procyon sector. We're just back to the Procyon sector from the Ecliptus sector, and we just have some very, 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 very illegal contraband on board, which in the form of one Kai Ramos, scientist. I'm Sean Nittner. I use he, him pronouns. You can find me everywhere at Sean Nittner on the internet. I'm real excited to find out what we're going to do because we all kind of realize that we don't know what our next plan is, so we'll figure that out. The channel, for everyone who hasn't seen or hasn't heard me say this a million times, all the proceeds from the channel are going to the Black Lives Matter and to the Trans Legal Defense Fund. So if you like the show and you want to sub to us, that's where that money will go. If you want to donate directly, that's great too. If you want to do other things that aren't monetary, I will put some links in chat as to some actions you can take, because anything that you can do that would help would be great. How about you, Lauren?
Hi, yes, I'm Lauren. I use she, they. I'm at the Stray Kiwi everywhere on the internet, and today I am playing Dipper, who uses they, them. They are an ancient robot. Say if you think of modern fiber stuff, they're the 56k version of that, because they're old as hell.
Mirror.
Don't laugh, it'll be fine.
56K Airbot.
Oh.
And yeah, I think like there's a lot of stuff going on in the universe. There's a lot of stuff going on in their brain. They are experiencing robot ghosts who are trying to tell them what to do, and that kind of thing, to steal artifacts. They have two hearts. It's a whole thing. I'll just pass it to Steve.
They have two hearts. It's a whole thing.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Lauren. I'm Steven. I'm at Silent Osiris on the internet. I use he, him pronouns. Today I'll be playing Scion, who last week just stone cold murdered some of his family members with the help of one famous duelist, Samara Vosa. And
Samara, you're a famous duelist now.
it's true.
I mean, she is now. If she wasn't
She is
before,
now. Okay,
she
I
definitely
see.
is now.
Excellent.
I read it on the Newsnet. Yeah, I'm super stoked to like kick back and see how some other folks' stories proceed this session. Jen, take it away. How about you?
Hello, I'm Jen Martin. I use she, her pronouns. You can find me on Twitter at 10penjen. Yeah, I believe I'll be starting as Samara, but I'm kind of itching to play Ula again. So when we do get into the mission, I might switch. We'll see. Yeah, and Samara, I mean, I like to think that Scion is calling her a duelist and she hates it, which should be lots of fun. Strash, what about you?
Hey, I'm Strash, he, him. I'm one of the regular streamers here. I'm gonna be jamming. All right, so I should probably check Roll20. I think we are supposed to start with payout and heat and all that stuff. Is that
that's
that
where we
correct?
left off. Yeah, we just finished the job last time.
Yeah, I usually leave myself little notes in chat because I know that early morning on a Sunday, my brain is not chugging along at top speed. Yes, pick 2 ship upgrades. We should talk about that because I heard all of you folks discussing it right before we started.
Yep.
And then start with heat, payoff, downtime, and entangles. So, all right, cool.
Yeah, let's do that thing.
You should let chat know what your upgrades are.
Yeah, let's see. I think I have Whisper up right now. So, last session, Whisper said, he just admitted to Kai Ramos, I'm a criminal, and I can't do things, the official way. You need to come with us right now. Well, according to, why can't I find Persephone? According to the crew, everybody says we're not just criminals, we're smooth criminals. Sorry, that was a big cheesy lead up. So we took the smooth criminal upgrade, which takes 1.5 advances. Thankfully, we had 2 advances, and so everybody gets an additional stress box. And we're also adding tracers, which I imagine are things that we'll pick up in downtime. And these are tracking devices that we can use to follow people around, which might be useful in our upcoming chicanery. So, yeah, I'm excited about those. But we can all use a little more stress, or stress capacity at least.
I had half a dozen songs flash through my head on that line. Yeah. But Cool. So, oh, I'm sorry. You have one more upgrade. Go.
Nope, that's it.
Oh, just it's smooth criminal and tracers, right? Yes.
Yeah, right. Because smooth criminals is 1.5 and tracers is half.
There we go. Right. Cool. So let's talk about payout. I believe you folks get 8 coin. You can divvy that up however you want and store however much you want, because I will ask if you pay your upkeep here in a second.
The ship has room for 1, and it's gonna take 1 it's gonna take 1 for upkeep. So we could just everybody take 2 cred, and the ship goes down to, assuming everyone has room for 2 cred. Everyone
Yep.
could take 2.
Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna pay upkeep off of Persephone. So
Cool. That said, next we're going to take a look at heat. So let's have a conversation about heat in the, I guess it's the Ecliptus sector, actually, of all things.
yeah, right. It's not a place we expected to get heat.
No, but sometimes that happens in the course of adventures. So let's ask, what kind of a job was this? Do we feel that this was completely quiet, smooth, contained, loud and chaotic, or wild?
It was at least loud and chaotic.
Yeah, it
I
was
concur.
pretty smooth and contained until that time bubble popped. Everything was cool with Kai Ramos, you
Yep.
know. But the moment that time bubble popped, there was all the chaos in the bar, and then there was the ship, and then there was the just gunning it to a dark space hyperlane to flee the blockade and the ambush party, and then we kind of got out smooth out of Ecliptus, but by hitching a ride on a cargo container. But everything up until that was chaos.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for heat base, let's keep talking about this. +1 heat for a high profile or well connected target.
Oh
Yes. Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Because we've got Kai Ramos, who is not well connected but is very high profile in terms of the guilds, right? And then we've got 2 nobles that just arbitrarily died there. Just saying.
Okay, awesome.
I mean, I don't think that additional heat comes multiple times, but if it did, we would.
It does actually.
Oh, it does.
It does. Yeah, it's once per.
Okay.
So like, if you go after Malclaith, it's not a big deal if you just take Malclaith. It's like +1 heat, but if you kill like 3 or 4 nobles, it turns into kind of a deal.
Cool. So we're at 7 then. Sounds like.
4, 5, 6, 7, yes. And then if you kill hegemonic citizens,
Which we did.
if you do massive property damage, if you use illegal weapons, you did not use illegal weapons.
Yeah,
But I think
don't
we're
think
like,
we did massive property damage either. I mean, we did like damage to the bar, but we didn't do like.
I was gonna say there are a large scale of explosions that can be heard from the other side of town. I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Yep. I don't know. I don't think you did massive property damage. Massive
Yeah,
property damage
my-
is usually like flying ships through Atmo and like blowing out sections of buildings kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. We just destroyed a chandelier. It was a very fancy chandelier, but it had it coming.
Yeah, and I don't believe you damaged a hyperspace lane or a system gate. So
Not yet.
you are, however, still above the wanted one threshold for the system. So let me roll some entanglements for you folks, and we'll see how those
Yeah. We're I think that comes out to 9 heat then, right? So I'll show 7 and then 2 more for killing. So
Yep.
all right. I'm gonna track it. There's no real way to do it on the action sheet, so I'm just gonna put it in our ship notes that we have 1 heat and 1 wanted level in Ecliptus. 1 wanted 1. I think that's what it, because the heat track is 8. So yeah. Josh, when you joined the new Scum and Villainy thing that I made some sweet heat and wanted trackers. Or Fred did, and then I turned them into Roll20 rollable tables.
It's pretty rad. Oh, that's right. I remember now. You sent me the email for the little packet.
Yes, and I put the tables next to put the little things next to the systems on the map so you can like see your heat and wanted by each system.
That's pretty dope. All right.
It is dope.
Cool. So nothing seems to happen. I sure rolled on some entanglement charts.
You know, Dipper's
I-
already dealt with the eels. I think they're gonna have a fine time this go
I
around.
push the door.
Nothing seems to happen. Oh wait, no, you push it, well it opens. All right, let's just keep rolling here.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. So at the end of last session, you folks escaped via dark hyperspace lane, and we had a discussion on how you translate into the RIN system.
Mhm.
So once you're in the RIN system, it's only a question of time until you want to fly to the cove, etc. So unless you're leaving the RIN system, I don't think we have a lot to discuss other than it's time for downtimes. Where do you folks want to take your downtimes?
I think the cove makes sense. Does that sound good to folks?
Feels like home base these days.
Mm-hmm.
Does feel like on base these days. Yeah. But I think before we dive into downtimes, we should all talk about what we're gonna do in our next mission. Josh, I think you kind of went over some of the things that, you know, when we were talking to Alondra, what some of the things that we would need to do to secure the sector would be closing the gate. We know about that. Neutralizing Legion 51 and Malclaith's control over Procyon, whatever form that takes, which is a big faction level kind of thing, but we can take a role in that. And opening up the Hantu Gate, no big deal, right? Real
NBD.
easy peasy things, right? And we also talked a little bit about the order in which we'd want to do that. That we'd want to close the gate before trying to take on Malclaith, because that way he can't get reinforcements. I have a slightly different opinion, is that if we tried to kidnap Malclaith, we might be able to hold him hostage and be able to try and get them to leave the sector. You know, like leave the sector before we close it. But, you know, that's dicey. Sorry, Josh, you were going to say something.
No, it's totally fine. I actually sat down and I had some thinks. And one of the things that I realized was that I don't let's talk about missions and what you folks want as players, right? The closing of the gate seems like kind of a space operation. Like it either requires getting close to it, doing something fancy, or maybe like doing a holding action, but that's like a fleet battle and you have a tiny ship with no weapons, so I don't know that that's going to be terribly exciting for you. So I thought about like gate closing missions, and I don't know, do you folks think that that would be like particularly fun? Because like to me it seems like the other two missions seem like they're much more appropriate for your talents.
I feel like there's something interesting there with like the challenge of the insertion of key individuals into the gate, and potentially the way that that interfaces with Dipper and their story, because they're this ancient Urbot that now has 2 cores interfacing with some ancient Urtek. Like there could be some cool shenanigans going on there.
But I figure that might occur in the Hantu Gate thing.
Fair, yes, good point.
Yeah. I also think we kind of did the closing the gate mission because that mission was to rescue was to get Kai Ramos. Like, at this point, it sort of feels like it's a faction level thing where we can say like, "Cool, now do your thing."
Right, we dropped Kai Ramos
bigger
off with
ships
Maelstrom,
to do the,
and
so that's sort of where I landed on my gut feeling. But I also wanted to check with my players, because if my players are like, "No, yeah, we totally want to do this. This is how it's gonna go down," I'd be like, "Oh, okay, let's make an engagement roll." Like that's I didn't want to. There are things that the faction wants, but it's not like there is no rails here. Like we're literally discussing how we want to do the end game. Like what is the cool run against the Death Star kind of scenario, right? There is actually, it was really funny because I was talking to John L. the other night, and I pointed out that if we're looking for resources that can be generated for the local planets, there is actually a third faction that could potentially be accessed. I don't know how excited you folks are. If you folks are excited to open gates, then we're opening gates, and that's the end of the story. But technically, the Yaru do have the capacity to grow tons and tons of like grain and stuff and produce like goods for people. They're just not allowed to do it by hegemonic contract. The only reason they haven't done it is because like the hegemon's like, no, you do it when I say so. So like so there's like all sorts of options here. Like there's no like preset path. So talking about this, are you folks excited to do like the deal with Malclaith mission next? I love that Sean keeps talking about like capturing him, and you know, like everybody else is like, capture him. What the hell do you do with him next?
I mean, I think it's you hold him hostage to get leverage over the hegemon, but you know, that's also maybe jumping a few steps ahead. We don't really know their relationship.
Oh, you're
we don't know how
adorable.
important he is. We don't know
Not
if
that important.
We don't know if that's a viable plan. Yeah. Personally, I'm real excited about the idea of opening up the gate, because all of the crystals that we have found, the Aleph key, the all the stuff that we've been doing with Dipper and with Scion, I feel like naturally converge there, and that's, to me, that's exciting because it reincorporates the important things that we've been doing up till now. So I don't even really care about Malclaith. Like, we have never met him. We don't have any relationship with him. I understand that he's an obstacle, but the mission that excites me the most is the idea of opening the Hantu. And I think that and so yeah, that's, I just feel like that would incorporate the most of our existing storylines and be satisfying.
Also, like opening up an entirely new gate to an entirely, you know, unknown system. Super cool stuff happening there.
Right.
It feels like if we basically take it as a given that the Maelstrom can go take Kyramos and shut down, you know, the gate to Ecliptus, then Malclaith poses the problem of like civil war in the system, hoping to like reopen the gate.
Correct. And it's probably the only person with the amount of money, power, ships, and also science to get that kind of shit done.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we could position like the opening of the new gate as like offering the citizens of the system like another option. Because like right now, we're just like some random scrappy pirate group. But if we like open the gate and we're like, we have the keys to, you know, an unknown world and all of the resources therein or whatever, like, then at least people can be like, you know, Malclaith, kind of an ass.
True story.
Yeah. I mean, it's got that Expanse vibe of like what's on the other side, we don't know. Yeah. Jen and Lauren, what are you thinking?
What do you say, Jen?
I have to unmute myself first. Yeah, I don't have strong feelings. I think originally when we started this campaign, Sean and I talked about Malclaith and his sort of part, and if we would have been involving him from the start, I would be more interested in that mission. But as it stands, like, I don't want to start that branch of this story this sort of close to the end. I'm much more interested in Newgate, Dipper fucking with Urtek, Ula in, you know, running behind. No. Yeah.
That sounds delightful.
So then I think we just need, if we're all like gate, then I think we still need to somehow figure out how we're going to address Malclaith. And maybe that's on a faction level and we're trying to get Alondra to go fight him. But if we're also trying to get Alondra to close the other gate, like maybe that's the Lost Legion, but they're kind of disabled from their last big fight with Legion 51. So I feel like we still need to do something. Maybe that something isn't a job. Maybe it's long-term projects. Maybe it's a setup kind of action. But I feel like we still need to do something to protect the sector from civil war and from Malclaith being able to open up the gate. But I'm happy to, like, it does not have to be kidnap Malclaith. I'm absolutely happy to do another thing to sort of address that in whatever format. Josh, does that sound reasonable to you? That as long as we were putting something into motion to address Malclaith?
Sure. I feel 51? Like close gate is probably action one.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you that bringing Kai Ramos back is how you folks have contributed to that. And we don't need to necessarily make roles in the sense that you folks need to directly interface with that in order for that to happen.
Right.
I think I probably have to make rolls to see how factions are doing after a move like that, because that involves large ship actions. But I think the pirates are probably in a good kind of like position to try something like that, because they have Kai Ramos, they have a ship that other people don't know about. They can sort of play trump cards in a way that are unexpected. Okay, apparently they meet a lot of resistance. I think that it can happen. It's a question of what it costs, right? Like, yeah. So that part can definitely be settled. Malclaith should get dealt with. The reason I wanted to throw the bone to you folks as a crew is because if you think about like crew archetypes, right? Like bounty hunters are not necessarily the people that are going to be in big pitch space battles where they're firing big pew pews and trying to blow up stuff like willy-nilly. One of the things that can happen is if you have a big space battle and people are distracted, bounty hunters could definitely slip behind the lines and capture a bounty, right? Like that's much more up your alley as sort of like what your crew is about. And I think that, but this game started with you folks grabbing one of the keys from the Jungle Planet, and I feel like fiddling with the keys is a good way to end the game. Maybe like it's got that bookend feeling. Kill your darlings and so on. So I'm happy to turn that off, and but yeah, I feel like that's a good last session. It's like, all right, let's go open another gate and see what happens. Yeah. So if you folks want to do that, that's fine. My gut just says that should probably be the last mission, but it's up to you.
If we zip in on this interstellar battle and we just like kidnap Malclaith and just take him prisoner, like we just bring him back to the cove. He's a prisoner now. Cut the head off of the rebellion, so to speak, while at the same time, Zokar Zan and Samara Vosa are making some propaganda videos, spreading the word to the system about how excellent rule will be under our new fearless leader, Alonda, or whatever.
Oh.
Then would you
like to be in a propaganda video? What?
That can like happen in the background, right?
Okay.
Zokar and Samara go off to like run some PR.
Okay.
While we watch the action of capturing this faction leader.
And I think that can absolutely be handled as like an acquire asset role, right? Like you can make up some good pitch for why folks should have faith in Alondra and etc. Get a good PR spin on the whole kidnapping and imprisoning of Malclaith, and then the mission can be to do that. But that does mean we wait for the gate to close and we pounce on Malclaith's forces, or not we convince the Lost Legion and or the Maelstrom and or the Ashen Knives, our various allies, to pounce on them, and then we jump in while the large scale fight is happening to get Malclaith. I dig that. I think we should still gather some information and set ourselves up for that kind of encounter. But I'm down with that. That approach.
Jen, Lauren, I just want to check in with you folks. I think that all of these are plausible paths forward. So it's just a question of like, where do we want to kind of end up with the game? So, Jen, I heard you loud and clear. You're like, hey, I was thinking about the gate as kind of like like the next big mission. And I think I'm okay with that. I just want to make sure that everyone's clear that if we hit that button, we're probably closing the game, just so you know. That's not a threat or anything. It's just like, what do you do after that to trump that mission? You're kind of done, right? Like, it's one of those. All right, well, it's a good season finale, right? So yeah, the question that I have is like, do you folks want to do something else first, or do you want to are you still like of the opinion that that might be like a good way to go forward? I also heard you, Sean and Stephen here, about maybe doing like a mid mission in the middle. But my question is, like, do you folks as characters have anything left that you want to do?
I think like in terms of like major plot clocks that need to turn, there's not a whole lot left on Scion's plate. He does want to give the artifact back to Dipper. So like there's a smaller scene there where like we return these things back into the keeping of their keeper. But yeah.
Sean, I
Yeah.
feel like most of your arcs have collapsed by this point as well, so I don't know how you're feeling.
Yeah, no, I feel like Whisper has pretty well set himself up to be Alandra's advisor and like kind of fade into NPC hood. You know, I think his major he's not gonna try and tell Rowan what to do with her life. He's, you know, sort of like he's gonna work with her, but his sort of dreams of returning to the Phoenix Guard are over. So yeah, I think his story is really told, and I'm very glad that I have the backup move because it feels very perfect right now. I want him to help others. I think Dipper's story is the one that is the big focus that I think we all want to see that. And frankly, even though all that stuff I said about Malclaith totally makes sense, like pacing wise within fiction, I'm also totally happy to skip all that and just say like the forces go to war and our big salvation, our big like way that we fight Malclaith is not by kidnapping or anything. It's by opening the gate and showing people the possibilities of what could come, and just like not even engage, like letting the factions engage with Malclaith and us not doing that as a mission. Because although it makes sense that we would do it, it's not. I don't feel like it's exciting to any of. Like it's not like we've never met him on screen before. It does leave a lot more to chance. Like it leaves a lot more to how the factions.
Yes, it does.
But,
yes, it does.
But
Malclaith starting an insurrection and being, you know, like the counter force in the future can be an interesting story as well, right? It's just if we play through this, then we know the fiction and we control the fiction, right? Like Blade's characters are very potent in terms of being able to like lock down the narrative. So it's if you're willing to leave it completely up to chance, I have no problems with that. I will roll some dice to tell you what happens.
Well, to me, doing the gate is like Jedi, right? Where the Death Star is firing on all the forces, and there's like the huge galactic battle going on out there. But what Luke and the Emperor and Vader are doing is the personal, like little story. It doesn't really affect. Well, it sort of does when the Emperor gets. But I mean, it's that's their little personal part of the story. So I like the idea. Like we have our own. Like we're off in the middle of nowhere, you know, trying to open up this Hantu gate where the big galactic battle is happening in the background.
I'm fine with that. Jen, Lauren, how are you folks feeling?
Oh gosh, I am bad at finishing things, so I feel like my vote shouldn't count for much.
No, your vote. Yes, your vote.
Vote counts
Please,
as much
we've
as
been
anyone
talking a
else's.
lot. You please don't.
I'm good at doing like a penultimate mission before like the sort of big gate opening mission if we wanted to sort of like ease into the end game. I'm also good just cutting to it and being like, nope,
is there like
yeah.
Sorry. I was going to ask you, Lauren, if it feels like if we jumped to the gate mission now, are there pieces missing from the puzzle of Dipper? Because like if there's like a mission that we need to like take care of first to like help Dipper learn more about this other core or like recover the third piece or whatever, like that could be a really good penultimate mission where it's like our most important thing is closing this gate, but before we close the gate we have to personal story stuff. What do you think about that?
Oh gosh, that's really intriguing.
Yeah, I was gonna say like clearly we need to have a Dipper mission and then we can do the gate mission. Like
Yeah.
Well, but Topian throws out an idea for a Dipper mission, which is for Dipper to sort of reconcile with the going back to planet on Omega, and Dipper to sort of reconcile with the with the the King of Two Hearts, um, and like Dipper's role in all this, like to sort of confront the ghosts and whatnot, and to say like what we're gonna do, and maybe that's with the key, and maybe that's also getting Malfin's key and coming back with all of them and being like, look, I've got all the stuff, and reconciling there. And my sort of, again, I am an opportunist, and I apologize about this, but my thought on that is like, if we can ally with the Agony, or even with the sentience that is Planet on Omega and the bots there, maybe that's a force that could be helping us fight off Malklaith. Maybe instead of reinforcing um, Maelstrom and Legion and the Lost Legion and Eshin Knives, it's adding another threat that Malklaith never expected, which is the Agony or Planet on Omega itself, or whatever, to the threat. And that's the way we kind of deal with the Malklaith threat, is by trying to shore up that resource.
I think that's a good idea, and very in keeping with our Persephone crew. Like,
Yeah.
And we've got like a bunch of hanging threads with like research into Urbots using the way and like cool stuff like that.
So maybe this is a connection to the Prime, or and that feels like a bit of a stretch fictionally. Like, we're gonna go get their aid, because I don't really know how that conversation is gonna go, but I'm like super into having it to find out what happens. Like, I'm super into being like, cool, we're gonna return with these artifacts, and we're gonna ask for them to help us.
What can go wrong?
Open the gate, fend off Malklaith, etc. And that feels like it's way up in the air as to what happened, but I don't know. It seems like it's.
Yeah, I think there's some potential there, because like 8 gates are ancient Urteg as well, right? So to totally help us out with some little threads to get into the Huntu Gate.
Thinking about the challenges that are facing us, we have a gate that we have to open, but do we have the key for it?
I think we might, but I don't think we know that we do.
Okay.
I think we.
This is correct.
I think we also, even though we don't know that we have the key, I think that we have the Nightbreaker, which can open up a gate, which may be a way to force it. We have Kai Ramos, assuming he survives closing the other gate, who's the premier gate engineer.
Yes.
And we have Malfin, who we're on the Cove right now, who has some understanding of.
Who hates us?
Because
one of us tried to steal his key.
Well, right, but we have Malfin, who has some understanding of the keys as well. So honestly, I think we have like more than enough. We just don't understand any of it, and I feel like if we can apply the right, I mean, I think one of the downtime things we definitely want to be doing is getting Malfin to come with us, or getting him to give us the key. And that is not a trivial thing, but like that's an important thing we would want to do at downtime. But I like this a lot more, honestly, than tangling with Malklaith. Even though like sneaking into Malklaith's ship and kidnapping him sounds totally up our alley, going back to On Omega and talking to the Agony is like pulling on a bunch of old threads and gets Dipper right into the weirdness right off the bat.
Yep.
Which I want Dipper weirdness.
I also know that my artifact and Malfin's artifact are 2 of a trio.
Yes.
Do we know where the third one is?
I think it's
Is it on
in the tree.
Omega?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, we saw it.
Yeah.
It's the thing that cured your crystallization.
Yes.
Yeah. So that said, Jen, like, whose story arc are you kind of more interested in trying to wrap up? Ula's or Samara's? Like, we could try to do both, but I also want to get you a piece that's like really satisfying to you too, if possible.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that, and I don't know that I have a specific conclusion for either of them. I know Jen would like to see more Ula and Dipper happening. But there's no like narrative conclusion for Samara that I feel like I need to have. Yeah, it's not a great answer, but it's what I got.
Well, Ula's vice and her fascination with Urtek, which has come up a little bit, but like I don't know. It feels to me like Ula being on the brink of like connecting the three parts and opening the gate and all that stuff. I'm not sure if there would be a good conclusion for her, but if that sounds cool to you, I mean, I'd love to do stuff that's exciting for her.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I think like it gives more fictional weight to it too. You know, like Dip is like, we have to take these artifacts back to the tree, and it was like, you speaking my language. time to go.
Yeah.
All right, I think we got a mission. It's return to Onomega with the 2 artifacts and raise an army of Urbots / Way
Planets.
to fight off the Force.
So
yay, we have a mission.
we got there.
Our
So
vision for a free Procyon sector includes self-determination for Urbots.
Plus, I like the idea of Ula leading the robot.
for sure. No. I mean, I think that's entirely part of our ethos about a free Procyon is Urbots having rights. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So-
I don't know about y'all, but that sounded like a lot of dice.
Yeah.
I'm doing faction turns real quick, just so that I understand what happened to Malclaith, Legion 51, the Lost Legion, and the Pirates and the Yashin Knives.
Cool.
So Malclaith gets away. The Yashin Knives, however, get a hell of a lot of resources from the assault. The Pirates are badly damaged in the fight. Legion 51 is damaged but hiding somewhere and nobody knows where. And the Lost Legion is kind of in tatters. So like that's the outcome of the faction turns. That's what happens over the course of the next week. The gate closes. But we have to do downtimes. So I'm still just chilling. You folks get to do some downtimes before we actually get to go on a mission.
I like the Strash is able, like, we're like, there's this mission, we do this, and we do that, and we do the other, and it's the power of the faction turns and the Forge and Dark mechanics and all this stuff. The Strash is like, roll. Okay, cool. So what would have been like 10 sessions of play is brah. This is what happens.
This is partially why we're making Throne, right? Like, you gotta have solid abstractions that have legit interpretability, right? So like, if I'm gonna roll for the Pirates, I have to think to myself, all right, well, how many dice am I using? Do they get bonus dice for things that the players have done? Do they get negative dice for the factions that they're facing? And the answer is they're kind of holding a lot of the trump cards, and even with 6 dice, they could not come up with something higher than a 4. So they take a pretty bad. So like, I have to think to myself, I'm like, what does a 6 look like? What does a crit look like? What does a 4 look like? What does a 1 to 3 look like?
Yeah.
But the truth is that a lot of this stuff happens pretty quickly, right? Like, you just read the dice and you interpret them, right? So
No, it's a cool element of, abstraction. I think it's great for, when the players aren't going to get them all, just roll a couple dice. And...
Yeah, roll a couple dice, see how it goes. Malclaith rolled a crit though.
Damn it, Malclaith.
He's so good.
Screw this guy.
Well, actually, it's really funny because I rolled for his faction to see like how they did in terms of like holding the line and fighting, and they didn't do so great. But then I rolled personal dice for him because if you read the book, he's got like artifact rings and has been collecting mystic doodads for a while and so on. So I was like, does he get away? Crit? Yes, he does. So
awesome.
You ask a question and then you consult the oracle. So
Nice.
Cool. So yeah, if you disavow, if you're like, let the fates do as they will, well, he's a season 2 villain. So let's rock. Cool. So downtimes. Everyone's, I assume, on the cove. Is that the plan?
I think so.
All right, rad.
Let's see. I think some of us, Dipper and Scion are pretty, and yeah, everyone except for Whisper is pretty darn stressed, and that's only because Whisper took his 3rd trauma at the end of last session. Do folks want to? I definitely think we need to get the key from Malfin. I'm happy to talk to him, but I'm happy if others think that they'd rather, I don't have a strong connection to him necessarily as anyone else. So
I think that if Scion and or Dipper tried to talk to Malfin, it would go poorly.
Yes.
Because it has
Ula-
historically.
Maybe Ula and Whisper could do it then. Like the other part of the team.
So what
Does
does
that
this look like? Are you folks sitting on the ship and folks are like, we should get the key from Malfin?
Yeah.
But like, what do you think are the chances that he just hands it over?
I mean, it seems like not zero, right? Like he
Yeah,
it's very
it does seem like zero to me as well. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page.
right.
Carry on.
So the only thing that we have over Malfan is that we, rescued him from a planet. I don't think that's going to carry a lot of weight. And
I think it carries a fair amount of weight, but can you give up the thing that gives your faction an advantage? It's probably not that level of weight.
Yeah, right. But this is I think it's convincing him that this is going to aid his faction in the long run. Like that the whole point of this is to gain control of Procyon. So I think it's explain it to him. Hope he sees the through line of I'm going to do this and it's going to help. It's going to be more helpful than doing nothing with this, or doing whatever he's doing with it right now. What do you all think? You feel like that's a good approach, or do you want to try and get some more? I mean, the other thing is that we ask Alondra to vouch for us.
I was basically just going to go to Dipper and be like, do you still party?
I think Dipper is quite delighted by that and nods. It would be I would be amenable to it.
Well, I was just gonna go de-stress, return the artifact, and maybe let y'all have a grown-up conversation that is not complicated by threats of physical violence.
Who knows what I'll do when I get in there? Because last time I tried to steal it, and we almost got in a fight about it.
Yep.
So let me get this straight. You folks want to de-stress, which is a vice roll, which is fine. And you're hoping to I'm not 100% clear. How are you planning on snagging this thing in the process, or?
I was not a part of that.
Yeah,
I see.
We're gonna duck out.
On letting other characters take care of that.
I see. Okay, it just took me a second. I was like, did I miss a step here? All right.
We're helping by not being there.
Right, yeah, we are helping by not making it harder for our friends.
Perfect. Yes. Okay.
What do you think, Jen? Do you think Ula is down with going with Whisper to get this?
I think so. I'm looking at her character sheet. I think that she isn't necessarily going to be particularly helpful because she's really only good at rigging.
All right. Would you like to come anyway and have Samara come maybe?
Well, Samara's way better at lying, but she is currently extremely stressed and also full of level 1 harm.
Well, we could do some downtime actions before we go, right?
Yeah.
Like we could do some stress recovery and.
So
and all that stuff.
it depends on your angle, right? Like if we want to just straight up lie, like Samara is the one to talk.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I think Whisper is trying to build collaboration and build a the word, it starts with a C and it's a
coalition.
Yes, coalition building.
Building.
Thank you. I don't think Whisper's inclined to lie to him. I don't think we even have a good lie. I don't think there's anything there isn't anything clever that I can think of to be like, if you give us the key, we'll turn it upside down and give you 2 back tomorrow. I mean, what?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, okay. So I think what I'm hearing is that if Samara goes, the angle is lying, which we're not super into. If Ula goes, she is the mother of Alonda. Which is not nothing. So that's what I think about that.
Yeah. Do you want to start by talking to Alonda and trying to get her in on this as her mother and her advisor? do you want to get her? Do you want to get her? Thumbs up to try and.
Yeah.
Cool. Josh, I think it's a weird way of saying acquire asset. I want Alonda's vote. I want Alonda to
I'm okay with that.
To give us the, because I think the real challenge is getting it from Malfin, not that's where the stakes are high. If Alonda doesn't give us her thumbs up, then it's not make or break. It doesn't to deal with it. So, all right. Oh, cool. Then I'm going to do an acquire asset action, and it looks like us saying, hey, as your advisor, like this has to be the next step of the plan, is that we put all of the keys together. And I know Malfin and you have a thing. I know you've got history, and he's not going to want to give his key up lightly. But I think if you back us, then he's gonna be a lot more willing to do it.
So the Maelstrom were a tier 3 faction, but over the course of this game, they've become a tier 4 faction. So
Cool.
you would need to get a tier 4 asset in order to get Alanda's vote / command order. I don't know.
Do we get any bonus for Alanda being a positive contact, or is that not during? We can't use that during.
We do, yeah, because we get additional die on downtime actions when you go to your contact.
Oh, sweet.
So yeah, we get.
Is she on someone's list?
She's
on Ula's list.
Great.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Jen, why don't you roll it then? Since she's on your list, we roll our crew, which is 1, and you're gonna roll an additional 1 for Alanda being your contact. And then we're just going to pay cred until we make up the difference.
Okay. So this is just 2 die fortune roll?
2 die fortune roll, yeah.
Okay.
All right. So that's a tier 1.
So what? It costs us 3 cred.
Costs us 3 cred. Yeah.
That's
I'll toss one into the pool.
When in doubt, throw cred at it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that the way that works is like, I don't know what, like, a few cred to Alondra doesn't probably mean much. I think it's
got to be like services rendered or like repairs done to the cove, or
to be real, it's probably you don't get to see her. You folks are like, yeah, we're just gonna go talk to her, and it's like, cool. She's on board a combat vessel and not really accessible. So like the cred is more like helping the war effort, or like covering some costs, etc., in order to buy the time to get a hold of her, right? Like, it's not so much that like everybody is just like sitting on their butts and not doing anything, and there's like NPC action happening with people you don't know. It's people are involved, right? Like, as a matter of fact, I imagine that the next episode is like 2 weeks later, or like, like a month later or something like that. Like, a fair chunk of time passes, right? Like, space battles are not fast. They don't take place over the course of hours. Well, they might take place over the course of hours, but a lot of the setup and the moving and the getting things into position and so on and so forth takes like weeks. And so yeah, I would assume that stuff is hectic, right? Like, stuff is in motion. Like, the pirates are deploying fleets. She's on board the Nightbreaker a lot. Like things are all over the place.
I think this is over a Nexus link with like holographic controls. It's like the upgraded version of the Nexus link, because we saw the Persephone has like the holographic control to control the arm, and this is like the extension of that, where we have this like we see her and she sees us holographically, and talk to her as like the ship is being fired on, and of course as the Nightbreaker's under attack to get it. Yeah, I'm down with aiding the war effort.
Spend a couple cred to buy a better holographic interface.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jen, does that sound cool to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. So yeah, if you made the rolls and things are appropriate, I think you can have the thumbs up, as it were.
Nice. All right. Steven, you said you'd throw a cred in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. I will put into.
I was gonna say Samara will throw in 1 or 2.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if Samara throws in 1, that's great. Then we have.
Cool.
Nice.
That covers it.
Cool. So
do we want to jump to party vicing and then talk to Malfin, or do we go directly to Malfin with this?
I mean, I think there's like, just a short sequence of, like Scion and Dipper just sort of like relaxing into it, and Scion being like a little gentle, being like, where do you want to go? Where, do you want to go to like, what what's the place that we went to last time? Do you want to visit like the Booty Cove or the Pirate's Chest? What? Talk to me about this.
So good.
Those are
I
absolutely pirate bar names.
Yes.
Yeah.
100.
Cred equals mom's cookies. Thanks, but Prince. Yes, I'm sure Wheel's cookies. Grease the
And I-
wheels.
I think when you say like this one or this one, Dip is just like yes.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
Sounds like
Of the above.
all right. And then we just like smash cut of like shots and then smash cut of like champagne flutes and then like Sion's dancing on a table somewhere.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally.
I think
Dip is
the moment that I really wanted to see is like Sion, like later in the night, Sion is very tipsy, probably standing on the table. He's like, everybody, hey everyone, listen. I want to talk to you about my friend Dipper. This one goes out to you. And then he like pulls from under his trench coat the tree. And he's like, we've done such great things together. And I told you I'd bring this back. And I meant it. So I want you to have this. And I don't care who you are, as long as you're still my friend. And you are. So that's good enough for me. Everybody, let's hear it for Dipper.
Aw. I love it.
And
In my mind, it
just
looks a little bit like a proposal.
yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, I think like Dipper probably imbibed a lot in sort of whatever electricity stuff programs. I think it sort of dampens and blocks out some of those ghosts. So I think like it's
The Klaus method.
yeah.
Yeah.
Using drugs to run from our problems.
Perfect.
Solid life decisions right there. Go on.
And so yeah, I think like Dipper just feels like this relief and joy and like acceptance and like hugs. I think very clumsily hugs Sion, takes the tree and like feels good about it for once because it's not people in like Dipper's brains like, oh yes, like these organics are silly, blah blah blah. It's like this is a moment of friendship and us. Oh, I love it.
Like 5 loud pops up the spine. Just
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
thank you, Dipper.
So I have to interject this. I'm sorry, I rolled dice. It's my obligation. But I feel like you folks are having this great party. Everyone's laughing. There's a lot of nice music. You folks are giving hugs. But there is this is a pirate bar, and there is a figure in the corner who looks like an individual with a hood up and probably some vaguely menacing looking single light underneath the hood that's petting some overly large 6-limbed space wolf of some sort.
Reptile wolf. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. And watching this whole shenanigan, everyone's like laughing and having a good time. But this person is clearly, like maybe there's like a like somewhere underneath that hood, like as they're clearly observing the two of you and like biting
Harshing the vibe.
No, they're not approaching. You folks are totally having a party, not.
Okay.
I think like we probably get the shot with the loud music and the booming and the lights, sort of like showing how you folks are seeing the party. And then there's a much quieter, just the two of you kind of like sloppily giving hugs to each other, like over there, like at a single table, and this person's watching, which is like the external view of what's happening.
Yeah, totally.
Nice.
A lot less lights and music. So yeah. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I rolled entanglements, but let's go on.
I love it.
Nice. I was like, where's this coming from? Okay.
I was intending to relieve my stress.
Yeah, go for it. Roll some vice, both of you, if you want to take that as a downtime. Sounds good.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I have cleared 1 stress.
That's
so
not true.
I'm gonna modify that up by 1.
2, I believe you can. Yeah. Double check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
So
dropped 3.
3 is the minimum you can take down, I believe.
Yes.
Which is what you got.
Yeah.
And it's a bonus dex for friends, right? That's how that works. If you're vice with a friend.
Oh, that's true.
Oh. Let's just roll 1d6.
Maybe you can get a little more.
Oh, good.
Plus
We have one additional stress.
Yeah.
Cool. And Dipper, you may modify your result by ±2 because you are hedonizing with me.
Excellent. Oh, I have 7 stress and I rolled a 6. If
You can. It's not a hard 2. It's up to.
Yeah,
plus or
up
minus.
up
to
to 2.
plus
Oh yeah, perfect. Yeah. I also needed that last die, so thank you for party time because
Oh yeah.
I'd be very stressed out if not.
My second downtime action will also be de-stress. Boom. Let's
Keep
go.
it going. Yeah.
Yes, good. I subtract 2 from that, and I clear my stress track with no ill consequences.
There you go.
Nice. Dipper's clear.
Mhm.
Yeah, where can we find Malfin?
On his ship.
On his ship. Okay.
Yeah. He's got a vessel at this point. So yeah. What do you folks want to do?
Yeah, I think we we send him over the comms that we've got message from Alondra, and we want to talk to him personally.
Cool. So yeah, I think there's a meet. There's just like a montage of you folks flying out, and
is he docked at the cove or nearby?
He can be.
Okay.
Let's say that he's coming back in for repairs. How's that?
I love it.
All right, cool. So yeah, I think he gives you a heads up that he'll be back in the cove in like a day, and yeah, sure enough, he shows up. No problem.
Whisper looks at Ula and is like, normally I wouldn't ask this, but I feel like we can use any advantage to our all the advantage, all the cards we have to play. Do you think maybe you'd be up for making another batch of space cookies? I mean, I don't know.
She gives you a look and then like brings out a box and is like, here.
Yeah, let's
I was gonna say, Ula gets an extra downtime activity to repair, and the repair activity cost me 0 cred. So like, I don't know, like, can I repair Malfin's ship with that? If we're talking about adding extra cards to our hands, that seems like it might be
That's
useful.
interesting. Yeah, okay. I didn't. Yeah, mechanically speaking, the repair action is usually on your ship, but that's fictionally that makes perfect sense. No, that's cool. I can dig it.
So we're bringing cookies and spare parts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. So let's set the scene a little bit. I feel like Malfin has a sort of a much more tight corridors type ship than kind of like a big broad Starfleet looking thing. So yeah, like he's got much more of a smaller, scrappier ship rather than some sort of like fighter carrier kind of nonsense. Like it's not a battle cruiser. It's a much smaller ship. It's closer to in size to something like what you have. It's much more of a surgical strike machine than it is a big, broad, broadsides kind of
Right.
fighter. And yeah, you folks like he invites you in. He's got his captain's quarters are also his quarters, so there's like a fold up bed or something, and he pulls down a desk and pulls out some drinks and is like, what can I do for you folks?
I love the idea. I love the notion of like, okay, put away bed, pull out desk. Like I've seen those tiny
Yes.
tiny houses, and we're all like cramped in there. Jen, do you want Ula to open, or do you want?
I think I want Whisper to open because I want Ula to be the one that sort of is the bad cop if this doesn't go well.
Cool. I dig it. Well, we're here to ask you a favor and to help out if we can. So last time you met up with you know, and I think there's like a little bit of chit chat about like catching up on the war, like the fighting. Like I heard, you know, we've talked to Alondra, and we know, you know, things are tough on the front, etc. Last you met up with my crew, I think they tried to relieve you of your possessions in an underhanded way.
I believe Steven spent stuff to make him suspicious, but not
Yeah,
remember
you
the
mesmerized
details.
Like,
okay,
he
okay.
only has hazy memories of
Got
like
it.
the problem.
Okay, never mind. Sorry, I forgot about that. I'm sorry. You're absolutely right. Steven did the whole like whammy of like don't know.
These are not
cool.
this is
Not
not
the
the
eyeball
terrible
you're
thing that
looking
happened
for.
to you.
This is not the terrible thing. Okay, cool. So I don't need to dig myself out of that ditch. Great.
Correct.
I go.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
He's
I
just
say-
like a little bit wary of me and Dipper now. He's just
Yeah.
like, there's something's weird with those two.
Yeah. I say when we first met, or at least in my first recollection of us meeting, you seemed to know that we needed to work together, and that the artifact, the way artifact that you have, which by the way I'm terrified of, just so you know, it's not a thing I want in my personal possession, or not a thing that I personally covet. But you seem to know that the artifact that you contain, that you possessed, and the one that Scion possessed needed to work in concert to escape us. And this is a callback to that first session where they were both outside and they both activated their things, and we blipped out of time for a moment. The concurrence cannon shot, but there was nothing there, and then we blipped back, and I think we figured out that it's not 2 artifacts that are needed in concurrence, but 3. And we know where all 3 of them are. And I believe that is not only going to be the key to having peace in this sector, or by peace I mean throwing off the yoke of Malclaith and the hegemony, but also to understanding the gates, understanding the gates themselves. And I'm just like watching us, you know, I'm kind of just dumping this on him. Like there's not a lot of, you know, small talk to where we get this.
He kind of looks at you and he goes, "Do you want the tree?"
Yeah, I want the tree. In fact, I don't want the tree. I need the tree.
It's just like an echo from somewhere far away. It's not a tree.
And I don't care. Yeah. I say,
He sets it. He reaches into his coat and he sets it down on the table, and he looks at you and he says, "Okay, you can have it if you can pick it up."
point of note, Whisper is paranoid about way things.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say Ula will just probably reach out and attempt to pick it up.
Cool. You should attune, Ula. We might see you on a Groundhog's Day.
Awesome. I'm gonna push myself on this so I can have 2 dice.
Nice.
Um,
Hold on. I'd like to assist you. I have a tune as well. And it's not a group action, but I think I do assist, which will make your push only cost 1. And
I don't think you can, Sean. You basically what you're trying to do is not glitch. So
Yeah.
unless you have a vault or something that actually captures these, there's no real way to assist here. Like this is a personal trouble, right? Like
okay, cool.
yeah. I mean, you might come up like tell me if you think that there is like you lay hands on it and what you're trying to do is avoid the bad effects, right? Like how would you assist that?
I was gonna tune as well, but yeah, no, that sounds cool.
On a 4 to 5, you're both stuck in a time loop. Okay, maybe.
I was gonna ask if I could possibly assist by like distributing a write-up of this thing and like including a mantra that's like, as like if you make contact with the device, recite this mantra, you know, Violet, Evergreen, Beauregard, you know.
Don't lose yourself in a time loop.
Yeah.
This is how you.
I Usually I would buy it, but most artifacts. Oh, actually, it's not true. Some of them can be voice activated, but most artifacts don't understand human speech, right? So it's a question of like,
this is like a personal mantra of like, here's how to focus your attune efforts in order to like interface with this thing in a better way. But like, if it seems implausible to you, I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Risky standard.
Desperate, actually.
Desperate.
You're going to be in a whole lot of trouble if this doesn't go well.
Desperate standard. I have 1 bonus die.
Hey!
There we go.
That push made all the difference.
Mark XP.
Ula is fucking done with this shit.
Yeah, I know. There's this really tense moment between Whisper and Malfin, right? Because Malfin's like, I don't. You're going to beg me to take this off your hands, right? He's like, no one's gonna. He like sets it down. He's like, I dare you to pick it up. I dare you to try and contain it and see what happens. And it was just like, screw you both, whoop, and like, no problems.
I almost imagine it's like the Clint Eastwood like gunslinger duel off in the middle of town. You know, the dust bunny rolls across the table as Whisper is like staring, and like the bead of sweat just like rolls down his forehead, and Malfin is staring like, go ahead, do it, make my. And Ula's just like, come on, let's go. God,
thanks, see you later.
I
and he's
love
like,
it.
What just happened? Like, Alonda said it was okay.
Yeah, exactly. So glad we spent all that credit on Alanda's vouching, but you know, yeah.
Well, actually, Sean, it does something very different, which is that he has to be okay with this, right? Like, he's not going to make trouble afterwards. He's not going to come after you. He's not going to hold a grudge.
Right.
Getting Alanda's blessing sort of forces him to accept that he's no longer the cool space captain with the artifact that everyone's jealous of. Now he has to like find a different identity, and she assures him that it'll be all right. He'll still have a place on the cove, and she's not just going to throw him back on a random planet and leave him abandoned for 5+ years until he makes himself useful again, you know?
It's going to be like a big space battle. How's the Vanguard sound?
So yeah, it means something in a different context. It doesn't mean anything in the context of convincing him to give this thing up. It means something in the context of what are the repercussions. And I think there are none, right? Like, because you have protection and buffeting, right? Like, this is how the higher tier faction game turns up, right? Like, it's not always about the direct approach. So
nice.
Cool.
Yeah. Whisper is like, it is absolutely that moment, Stephen, of like just sitting there like sweating at, you know, when he's like taking the grass and he just like flinches, like oh shit. Okay. Yeah.
Are we done?
I kind of look at him.
He's like, apparently, what just happened?
Apparently, we were the ones meant to have it, or Ula is.
So I think Ula looks at him and she's like, "Sweetie, don't worry about it."
Here's some
Someday
cookies.
you'll wonder, was I really meant to have it? But you know what? You'll have a cookie, and it'll make it all better.
All better.
Yep.
Ooh. Freckle Ula.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
All right. Yeah.
Cool. Mission accomplished.
Yes, that went a lot differently than I expected. Let's rock.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So yeah, you folks show back up. You know, like Ula's holding this thing. Like, it's not even. It's glowing and doing something, but it doesn't seem to be affecting her. It's fine. Everything's, you know, kosher. Like, you can bring it on board and it won't like blow up or do anything weird. Yeah. You have the artifact. What do you folks want to do?
Yeah, what's Dipper's reaction? I mean, at some point we're gonna meet back up, right? Or Ula, are you hiding it? Are you gonna make sure Dipper like what are you?
Gosh, I'm not hiding it. No.
I didn't think so.
Yeah, no.
I think Dipper gets kind of quiet, looks very intrigued, but then a bit wary of like themselves. because they couldn't do what Ula just did. They would probably have like a freak out and grab it and then leave everyone. um, so I think Dipper is trying to like sort of social distancing in that sense. I feel like you bring it out and just
I love the idea of Ula like taking a step towards Dipper and then Dipper stepping back and Ula like picking up on this and being like, oh, okay.
definitely, yeah.
All right. I guess this is going to my I have quarters now? Okay.
Do you folks have a vault on your ship?
Sounds fake, TBH.
So there
We
is
could
an
have taken
actual...
that as our upgrade instead of tracers.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you would have known that you're not going after Monclaith, tracers are less useful. So if you want to swap tracers for vault, I'm not gonna. You haven't used tracers yet.
I vote yes.
I vote
Sounds
yes
good.
too.
Yeah.
So
tracers
one
done, fault there.
of the things that the vault does is it allows you to safely store artifacts. Like it's basically like lead. it's kryptonite containment. It's like, you know, lead lined vaults and, you know, lots of security protocols and nonsense.
Right.
So yeah, it's, if you have that, then I don't have to make people keep rolling for nonsense. I can just be like, yeah, cool. If you want to stash it in the vault, that's fine.
Awesome.
Cool. So what are you folks doing next? I believe people still have downtime actions, and I believe that we still need to discuss as a group, like we discussed as players, but not as characters, what the next mission is per se.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's do that so
we
we can plan our downtime actions if needed. Do we have a galley? Man, I can't play. I don't remember. I don't think we do. We do. We have a galley. Yay! Cool. So I think over a meal, you know, or sometime we're sitting there like putting things together. Oh, Jen's gonna step out for a second. So let's do downtime actions that are before all of us talking. Strash, I have 2 downtime actions, and I think I'm gonna blow them both on a retcon scene, so it'll be super easy. And I think my retcon scene is just when we're talking with Alondra, giving her updates, telling her, you know, telling her our plan, and I want to work on a long-term project to add her as a contact.
Oh, I think that's totally doable. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she's a 6 o'clock.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Most of like the crew was 4 o'clocks. I feel like she's just a touch harder.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I'm consorting. That's what I'm doing with her. Sharing information. I'm connecting.
Yeah, sounds good.
You know, consort. All right, that's 3 ticks.
If it's a 6, yeah. I'm
Okay,
sorry, I wasn't
6.
staring at the.
No problem.
Yep, you're good.
And then I'm gonna do it again because my acquire asset action was my free downtime action. So
You're not de-stressing and or you don't have any wounds to recover?
I don't have any wounds to recover. I don't have any stress, and we only have
Sounds
1
good.
heat in any given sector. Well, we have wanted, but I can't get rid of wanted levels with laying low. So right, wanted only gets rid of heat, or laying low only gets rid of heat, right?
It might be.
If laying low will get rid of wanted, then I will definitely hold on to it to do that. But I thought
In Blades, you got to send someone to prison.
yeah.
I don't know what it is in Scum and Villainy.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking Blades and I'm not.
I think you are.
Okay.
Yeah, it's if you want to reduce your crew's heat and wanted level in a system, start by hiding in another system. Say what your character does to reduce the heat while hiding and roll an appropriate action. Reduce system heat in the system by 2. If you're wanted, add segments to the wanted reduction clock on the system sheet.
Nice.
1, 2, 3, 1, 4 to 5, 2, 6, 3. If the wanted reduction clock fills, reduce your wanted level in that system by 1 and clear the clock.
Okay.
So, I was like,
nice.
I'm pretty
Awesome.
sure you can get rid of wanted levels. It just takes a while.
Cool. Then I'm gonna spend a cred here to bump that 6 to a crit, which will put 5 segments on the clock with Alondra. And we do a 6-segment clock, which means next time I do it, it's a sure thing. Contact. 5 segments are filled. Okay, and then I'll leave one downtime action to either lay low or do something else as needed once we've all talked. But
Sounds good.
so that was that one.
What's everyone else doing? What's Ula doing? I think Scion is done, right? Like you did 2 vices.
All clear.
Dipper, you did 1 vice. You have 1 action remaining. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you have no wounds to recover or anything like that?
No, I'm miraculously clear on stress and clear on wounds. So
Nice.
I was thinking I might train. I might train unless there's like a other thing I could do, like gaining assets or stuff to set us up.
Well, let me ask you, what do you think about the future from this point, right? Because if they've retrieved 1 artifact and Scion has given you 1 artifact, your sort of destiny, as it were, is to go and sit for all eternity by a tree with the 3rd artifact, or at least that's what your ghosts / tell you is your purpose here. What do you think about that?
Oh, that is such a good question. I think
Because Strash thinks it's bogus, but I'm not trying to put thoughts in Dipper's head here.
no, yeah, I think like I think Dipper's like ideal ending would be to like fulfill these obligations quiet with like the ghosts and like leave them with their stuff so I can be with my found family of people or whatever.
Aw, that's so adorable.
I think for Dipper that feels like a very lofty goal. I think Dipper is like, and myself as a player, I have some ideas for what may happen if like not everything pans out okay. So I think yeah, but sitting on a throne forever, not really. I think Dipper is super interested in.
So let's talk player to player here, because the GM is a player, of course. So like as Lauren, like is this what you want? You would like to go and put the 3 artifacts away, give the ghosts back to the original inheritor of them, and then depart? Is that like win condition, or do you want to muck about with artifacts? Do you want to see like what's further in them? Do you want to confront the ghosts? You know, try to organize your own internals? Like, are you at this point in the like I would like to be exercised camp, or are you in the like I would like to make peace with my ghosts, or do you want to go to war with the ghosts and extinguish them? Just have both cores for yourself? I don't know. Like, where does your heart lie here?
Well, okay, so the thing I've been thinking about for a few weeks is the potential of a season 2, whether that's off screen or on screen, whatever ends up happening. If I think what season 2 looks like is maybe decanting into the spider ghost. I thought that might be a cool little season 2 thing where if it's like sort of like Groot-esque, like I'm done now, like I need to retire, like this joyous spider that's been in me needs to be let out.
When you say decanting, what you mean is like let them have control of the body? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah,
like because like to me decanting is transferring liquid from one container to another, which I wasn't 100% sure how to apply to the situation. So
that are like taking one of the cores and separating it out and putting it in like another body, or like whatever ends up happening. I was like that. Yeah, that kind of Groot level cycle of new life and new joy and discovery and curiosity from these ancient beings.
Okay, cool. So what I'm hearing, and like again, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I want you to confirm that I'm getting this right. Is you're looking at trying to find homes for these ghosts, like get to peace, become at peace with them by providing them a different way to be? Is that?
Yeah. I think putting them to rest is a good way to describe it. Yeah. I think like the one thing I felt from them is like they're pain too. Like they're clearly like unsettled and clearly have things they want to do. So yeah, I think that makes it kind of sweet.
Differ. You're slowly becoming a person. I have things I want to do, but I feel like I must do my person. Oh, how very human of you. All right.
Did your parents
Cool.
help with that?
I think so.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean they're
And
around,
Ula.
right? Like they showed up. What
all
was
right.
it?
Well, we'll see. I assume that if there are gates to be opened, things are going to go completely off the rails here. Because this is not likely to be a peaceful resolution if those are all the factors in play. P.S. The Agony are not good people.
Yeah. Well, we
all
should
right.
have that conversation of how we want to get onto an Omega with, whether we're going to talk to the Agony, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, do folks want to have that like in character convo to figure out what our plan is before we finish out all our downtime actions, just so we can like do them accordingly if anything is needed.
Yeah.
Cool. So, Whisper looks to Ula and is like, "Do you think Persephone could make it on planet onto Ono Omega without the help from the Agony?"
Josh, what is my read on that?
You've never been there. Oh no, that's not
I
true
have.
at all.
Yeah.
Ula absolutely has been
Yeah.
there. I'm a liar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's rough. Your challenges are you'd have to bypass beacons and their scanners, which is tricky, doable but tricky. But more importantly, if you land on that planet, you will have to hold off armies of xenomorphs that are going to try to board/devour your ship. That's a tall ask. I think it's not in the realm of impossibility. It's still in the realm of high improbability.
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like we could do something to prepare for the beacons. Like we could get some fake transponders. We could mask ourselves somehow. We could do a thing that would help us get past that. That feels like we could acquire some assets to do that. But I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like getting onto the planet. Like I have an idea, but it would have to be like a long-term project clock situation, and I don't know that we have time for that.
There is no rush. Right, like
Yeah,
you have
that's fair.
allowed faction moves to be happening in the background, and they'll be happening for a while. So if you folks are like, "Look, I can do it, but I'm going to need about 6 cred worth of parts," so which means that we have to do another job between now and then.
Yeah.
Like, you can do that. That's not.
Yeah,
We are feeling rushed because we feel like we are in endgame.
Yeah.
But if you folks are like, "Look, we want to pump the brakes and just do one job for some cred so that we can get this done," it's totally doable.
Find the random serial killer that's been around since like episode 2.
Rescue the Irvine experiments from vets. That's another one that you have in your doc. There's a lot of jobs that you folks have just kind of been like, we'll look at them later.
Because the idea that I had was like effectively build a space elevator and shoot it like a grappling hook at the planet. Like it's kind of out there, but it's a very Ula plan, I think.
A space elevator is usually like, let me just figure out exactly what you're saying. A space elevator is a structure that goes from the planet into orbit.
Typically.
And is used to elevate stuff, usually using magnetics, and it's usually made of carbon fiber. It has to be on the equator because otherwise it gets bent because it's so tall. But what you're talking about firing is something that is taller than anything a human has made in our like physical world now. And as a grappling hook in what way? Like what is it attaching to?
I mean, effectively what I wanted to do, right, was like keep our ship off the actual planet.
Okay. I see. So what you're trying to do is make a floating base of some sort that will allow you to descend without necessarily touching the ground for longer than if you.
Yeah, and will be easier for us to protect on the planet, right? Like maybe there is a physical anchor or something, but we're not trying to prevent millions of xenomorphs from overrunning the location. We just have to, I don't know, put up a force field or something like that. Or like a time bubble, perhaps. I don't know.
What you're looking at doing is like some sort of base camp / ascent mechanic that is defensible in a reasonable way. It's less space elevator, which is a planet-sized construction, and more a landing pod of some sort.
Sure.
just not small, right? Like,
Yeah.
okay, I think that's absolutely within Ula's scope, is to try and make some sort of, but it has to be tricky, right? Because like brute force landing pods is what the hegemonic space marines used, and it didn't end so well for
Right.
them.
Well, how did the Agony get us down there? What was their?
If you recall, they swooped a ship down and dropped you off, and then swooped the ship back up. So like they never touched down. They just refused to touch the planet because they believe they're gonna bring something with them.
We also have like special access back to the core of that volcano place where the.
Yes, you did. You unlocked the shortcut.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we could do the drop off. Like Nita could fly us and drop us off, but it would be the like, how are we going to do the pickup? How are we going to do the, do we have a grapple to get ourselves?
And they used the gravity scoop last time.
Yeah, we don't have a gravity scoop. We do have an arm, but it's not.
But the thing is, something like that, like a gravity scoop, is something that Ula could make. It would still take like 6 cred and or an install time, but I mean, it's totally doable. Yep, this is totally a thing. This is exactly the kind of thing that actually engineers are designed for. You would have to have a downtime project. You get extra segments on that downtime project, and you just gotta bang it out, and it's totally doable.
What do you guys think?
Sounds cool to me.
I think it sounds great.
Yep.
I love it. I like the idea that we're doing it without the Agony, because I don't.
Yeah, same.
They might show up, but I don't want to be at their.
They'll show up.
Well, the point is, when they show up, I don't want to owe them anything at the time. Like, I don't want to be having to lie to slip past them with 2 artifacts that they will definitely notice. We'll deal with them when we see them.
All right, cool. Do we want to punch them? Yes, I agree, Dipper. Yeah. Do we want to take our break and then we'll jump into shenaniganery and side jobs at that point?
Yeah.
All right,
great.
Sounds good. Cool.
Right. See you all in a sec.